First to our top focus in this edition, the Pakistani government is under immense pressure to crack down on terror groups finding safe haven in the country. For decades now, Pakistan has harbored terror organizations, but now they're all set to course correct. Pakistan is drafting a bill to ban terror organizations like the Jamaat-ul-Dawa. The Abbasi government decided to prepare a draft bill to amend the Anti-Terror Act and part of its damage control exercise. Pakistani media has reported that the proposed draft bill will be tabled in the upcoming session of the National Assembly, scheduled to begin tomorrow. In addition to that draft bill, Pakistan is also preparing a consolidated database of known terrorists and terrorist organizations, which will be accessible to financial institutions and law enforcement agencies of the country to strengthen the regime against money laundering and terror financing. The Pakistan government's move coming just days after the US imposed sanctions on Hafiz Saeed's Milli Muslim League, the political outfit, and designated its leadership as terrorists. Adding to the pressure on Pakistani leadership was the UN Security Council that recently updated its consolidated list of terrorists and individuals and named Dawood Ibrahim and Hafiz Saeed among hundreds of other Pakistan-based outfits and individuals. In February, the Financial Action Task Force, which is the global terror financing watchdog, approved a nomination proposal tabled jointly by the US, the UK, France and Germany to place Pakistan on the international watchdog's money laundering and terror financing grey list. Hafiz Saeed has been declared a global terrorist by the United Nations and the United States of America for his involvement in the deadly Mumbai attacks of 26/11, which claimed 166 lives. Hafiz Saeed was detained for close to 9 months last year, but was released later by the Lahore High Court after the government failed to bring specific charges. And joining us for more on that is Strategic Affairs Analyst Sushant Serene from New Delhi. Good evening, Sushant. Appreciate very much, as always, you're joining us on the broadcast. Given Pakistan's track record when it comes to tackling terror, do you think the latest move is a mere smokescreen, or will Pakistan walk the talk this time? Are you hopeful of Pakistan implementing this move?
You know, if the past record is anything to go by, I would say that this is yet another one of those things, too clever by half kind of things which the Pakistanis do. This current bill which they are talking about is essentially, they've already passed an ordinance which hasn't really crammed the style of either the JUD or the Falah-e-Insaniyat Foundation or the terrorist-in-chief Hafiz Saeed. He's still it's pretty much business as usual for him, despite that ordinance, which actually bans all these organizations. So what they are now trying to do is that they want to take the ordinance and convert it into an act of parliament. And that is what they're trying to do. There could be an element of domestic politics as also involved in this, because it will be difficult for some of the other parties which are, more or less hand in glove with the terrorists, or at least hold a brief for them to come out openly and support this particular bill. This is a bill which, they will also have to get a majority in the Senate, where the government currently does not have the numbers in its favor. So I would wait to see how this bill becomes a law. But what is more important is that even if it does it really change the way the Pakistanis approach the entire issue of terrorism? And will it mean that they will actually start bottling up most of these jihadis whom they have unleashed not only on their own country but also in the neighborhood as well as in other parts of the world? So I think the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. There is, of course, the clear and present pressure of the FATF on them. But, the FATF has been breathing down Pakistan's neck for cracking down on money laundering. But if you look at the latest tax amnesty scheme which the Pakistani government has passed, that clearly, pours water over any plan to tighten money laundering and countering financing of terrorism. Any scheme like that, because anybody anywhere in the world can bring in their money, pay 2 or 3% tax on it, and completely launder that money and make it completely legit. Clearly the FATF has also expressed its concerns over this particular law. So we'll have to see whether, how seriously the Pakistanis are going to crack down, strangulate these terror organizations of their funding, also bottle up their leadership, and put many of them in prison, which is the place they need to be in the first place.
And also, Sushant, let's just delve a little bit into the need to change the law. Is that Pakistan's admission in a way that the law was toothless all along, or lacked implementation? Because if it's the latter, then as you're pointing out, then implementation this time around also has no guarantee.
No, I think it was a bit of both. I think what they have done this time is that previously, when they ever tried to clamp down on the Jamaat-ud-Dawa or any of the other Lashkar-e-Taiba affiliates, their front organizations, the problem was that they would go to court, and the court would say that, so what if the UN has proscribed these organizations or put them on a terror watch list? These are organizations against which you have no case within the country, so on what basis are you banning them? The ordinance this time around, what it does is that it says that any organization which has been named in the UN list will automatically stand banned in Pakistan. So, in a sense, one of the loopholes is sought to be plugged. You ban the organization, but the Jaish-e-Mohammed pretty much survives. It pretty much thrives these days under state patronage. It has been brought back into business, and we've seen their footprints in Kashmir recently. So clearly, even when you ban an organization but don't actually do anything about the ban, don't actually clamp down on these organizations, then that's a law which has just been passed, to show to the rest of the world that you are acting, but actually you are not. Now, this is a game the Pakistanis have played for far too long. I think the rest of the world does see through this game. As long as other exigent circumstances do not come into the way, I think the world will call Pakistan's bluff on this particular issue, and they'll demand to see more action rather than just this cosmetic kind of legislation and, executive action. I think they would want to see action on the ground.
And cosmetic measures have been aplenty, especially when we talk about Hafiz Saeed and the Pakistani authorities time and again, Sushant. But what do you think was the trigger for this move? You talk about the world seeing through Pakistan's bluff, seeing through Pakistan's game that it has played for so long. Do you think Pakistan is succumbing to the pressure, feeling the heat from the international community, trying to show the FATF that, look, we are taking steps to tackle terrorism?
Clearly, I think the FATF setback has come as quite a shock to the Pakistan. Even when the review happens, if whatever steps the Pakistanis are taking and whatever steps they are promising, if that is acceptable to the FATF, then Pakistan goes on the grey list. However, if the FATF feels that this does not go far enough, or that the Pakistanis are trying to, once again try and, throw dust in everybody's eyes and get away with the kind of double games they play, then there is a threat at least, or at least a possibility that Pakistanis might actually be put on the blacklist, which means getting cut off from all international financial institutions, the international financial system. So that is something the Pakistanis simply cannot afford at a time when their economy is virtually bankrupt. They are literally on empty, running on empty. They are going around with a begging bowl all over the world, trying to get some funds to dress up their balance sheets, to window dress the entire accounts of the country. But clearly the pressure is showing now. And that is one of the reasons why the Pakistanis' hand is being forced, and they are being forced to take these actions. Every time they were questioned about them, they would give this very slick kind of an answer to explain away why they were not doing anything. And then they would, when push came to shove, they would, take recourse to sovereignty and all the other kind of blabber which, normally comes out of Pakistan. Clearly, this time around, nobody is buying into that. And the pressure is, of course, being felt.